The moment I discovered my wife's infidelity was surreal, like being yanked from a dream into a nightmare. It was a Friday night, and I had planned to surprise her with a dinner reservation at her favorite restaurant. I had just gotten off work, the sun was setting, and I felt a rush of excitement as I anticipated her smile when I revealed the evening's plans. But as I walked through the front door, that excitement quickly faded into confusion and dread. There, on the kitchen counter, lay her phone. It buzzed incessantly, a sound that would haunt me for weeks to come. I glanced at the screen and my heart sank. A text message popped up, bright and glaring. "Can't wait to see you tonight, baby. You were amazing last night." My breath caught in my throat. In that instant, the world around me blurred and all I could focus on was that single message, its implications crashing over me like a tidal wave. I felt a mixture of shock and disbelief. My mind raced through 1,000 thoughts, all colliding with one another. How could she? I had trusted her completely. We had built a life together, shared dreams, laughter and love. The foundation of our marriage, which I believed to be unshakable, now felt like quicksand beneath my feet. I picked up her phone, trembling, and opened the message thread. My heart thudded painfully in my chest as I scrolled through a series of messages between her and a contact saved simply as DJ. Each message was a dagger, unearthing the betrayal I could hardly comprehend. They shared flirtatious exchanges, inside jokes, and plans to meet. I felt anger bubbling up, hot and suffocating, mixing with an overwhelming sadness that threatened to drown me. I had always considered myself a good husband, loyal and attentive. Had I missed the signs? In that moment, I was a storm of emotions: betrayal, anger, confusion, and a deep, gnawing hurt. I had always thought infidelity was something that happened to other people, a cautionary tale shared over drinks with friends. But here I was, standing in my own living room, grappling with the reality that my wife was having an affair with a DJ, a man I had never met, whose very existence had just shattered my world. I needed to confront her. There was no way I could let this go, without understanding how she could betray me so deeply. As I waited for her to come home, I paced the floor, my mind racing with possibilities of what I would say. Would I scream? Would I cry? Would I demand answers? I felt like a marionette with its strings cut, aimlessly flailing about, unsure of what to do next. When she finally walked through the door, her face lit up with surprise. "Hey, babe," she exclaimed, completely oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I forced a smile, but I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, each beat echoing my hurt and betrayal. "Can we talk?" I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. The smile faded from her face as she sensed the gravity of my tone. "Sure, what's wrong?" I led her to the living room, and as I sat down, the weight of the moment pressed heavily upon me. I took a deep breath, and with a shaky hand, I slid her phone across the table. "You need to explain this," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Her expression shifted from confusion to horror as she read the messages. The color drained from her face, and I could see the realization wash over her like a cold wave. I can explain," she stammered, her voice trembling, but I wasn't ready for explanations. I wanted answers, and I wanted them now. I felt the rage boiling inside me, ready to spill over. This was just the beginning of a journey that would lead me to places I never thought I'd go. In that moment, as I sat across from my wife, the weight of betrayal hung heavily in the air, suffocating the remnants of the love I thought we shared. Her eyes darted between the phone and my face, searching for something, perhaps forgiveness or understanding. But all I could feel was a torrent of emotions crashing down on me. "I can explain," she repeated, her voice shaky, but I was not in a place to listen to excuses. I wanted to scream, to break something, to let the world know how deeply I had been hurt. Instead, I sat there, my hands clenched into fists, trying to hold back the fury that threatened to engulf me. "Explain what exactly?" I asked, my voice low and dangerous. "How you found time to hook up with a DJ after work, or how you thought I wouldn't find out." She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. I could see her brain working frantically, trying to piece together a defense that would somehow justify her actions. But there was no justification for betrayal. I had always thought we were a team, partners in life, navigating the ups and downs together. How could she do this to us? Was I not enough for you? I continued, my voice thick with emotion. Did I not give you everything, our life together, our home, our dreams? Was it not enough? She looked down, tears brimming in her eyes. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake, she finally managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. A mistake? I echoed, incredulous. You think sleeping with another man is just a mistake? You think it's that simple? My heart raced and I could feel the anger boiling over. You betrayed me. You betrayed our marriage, and for what? A night of fun with a DJ. The tears began to spill down her cheeks, and I felt a pang of sympathy, but it was quickly overshadowed by the rage that consumed me. I had loved her fiercely, and now I felt like a fool. I had been blind to the signs, all the little things that had changed in our relationship over the past few months. The late nights at work, the sudden need for more girl time, and the way she had started to distance herself from me. I had brushed them off, convinced that everything was fine. Now, with the full weight of her betrayal crashing down on me, I realized I had ignored the warning signs. I had allowed myself to believe that our love was unbreakable, that we were immune to the pitfalls that plagued so many marriages. I had been wrong. I just wanted to feel something different, she said, her voice trembling. It wasn't about you. It was about me feeling lost, and I made a terrible choice. Feeling lost? I shot back. You think that gives you an excuse to cheat on me? To destroy everything we've built together? I felt my heart racing as my emotions swirled in a chaotic mix of anger, sadness, and disbelief. The room fell silent, an unbearable tension settling between us. I could feel my throat tightening as the weight of her betrayal pressed down on me. I had always been the one to hold our relationship together, the one who put in the effort to keep the spark alive. And now, it felt like everything I had done was for nothing. As the silence stretched on, I found myself grappling with a decision. I could forgive her, attempt to salvage what was left of our marriage, or I could take a different path, a path of revenge. The thought of revenge flickered in the back of my mind, tempting and intoxicating. I had been wronged, and part of me craved to make her feel the same pain she had inflicted on me. I thought about the DJ, the man who had invaded my life without a second thought. He had taken my wife away from me, even if only for a night. I could imagine him in the club, spinning records and charming women with his flashy persona. The very idea made my blood boil. I wanted to confront him, too. Make him understand the chaos he had caused, but that wasn't enough. I wanted to humiliate her, to make her feel the weight of her actions in a way she would never forget. Do you even care about what you've done? I asked, my voice ice cold. Do you understand how much you've hurt me? She nodded, her face streaked with tears. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. Please, let's work through this. But the idea of working through it felt impossible. The trust was shattered, and I couldn't see how we could ever rebuild it. Instead, I began to formulate a plan, a way to make her truly understand the depths of her betrayal. I would use the DJ against her. I would orchestrate a moment that would publicly humiliate her, a moment that would make her realize the gravity of what she had done. I could feel the anger morphing into determination, a twisted sense of justice taking root within me. As I sat across from her, her tears streaming down her face, I felt a sense of clarity. I would not be the victim in this story. I would reclaim my power. The confrontation with my wife left me in a haze of emotions, but it also ignited a fire within me. The pain of her betrayal morphed into a desire for revenge that I had never anticipated. I needed to act, to channel this raw energy into something that would bring her the same pain she had inflicted on me. The idea of publicly humiliating her became an obsession, a way to reclaim my dignity and assert my worth. I spent the next few days consumed by my plan. I had never been one to seek revenge, but the thought of simply moving on felt inadequate. I wanted her to understand the consequences of her actions, to feel exposed and vulnerable in front of others. I wanted the DJ to be an instrument of my revenge, a tool to deliver the message that her choices had real implications. The following weekend, I learned that the club where the DJ performed was hosting a special event, a night dedicated to breakup songs. It felt like fate. I could already envision the scene. My wife, dressed to impress, surrounded by friends, blissfully unaware of what was about to unfold. I would orchestrate the moment and watch as the realization dawned on her, the humiliation sinking in as the DJ dedicated a song to her. I reached out to the DJ, whose name was Jake. I had done my research and found his contact information online. I crafted a message, careful to keep it vague yet intriguing. "Hey man, I have a favor to ask. Could you dedicate a song to someone at your next gig? I'll explain everything later." When he responded positively, I felt a surge of excitement. As the day of the event approached, I prepared myself mentally for what I was about to do. I imagined her reaction, the confusion, the shock, and ultimately the embarrassment. I wanted to be there to witness it all, to see her face as the realization hit her. It was a twisted form of closure, a way to reclaim my narrative after she had taken control of our story. On the night of the event, I arrived at the club early, my heart racing with anticipation. The atmosphere inside was electric, filled with laughter, music, and the clinking of glasses. The dim lighting and pulsating beats created a sense of anonymity, but I felt hyper-aware of my surroundings. I spotted my wife chatting with friends, her laughter ringing out like a cruel reminder of the facade she had maintained. As the night progressed, I watched her, carefully observing her interactions. She seemed carefree and oblivious, entirely unaware of the storm brewing just beneath the surface. I could feel a mix of anger and satisfaction bubbling within me. I was about to turn her world upside down. I approached the DJ booth as Jake prepared for his set. "Are you ready for this?" I asked, trying to mask my excitement. "Absolutely. Just let me know when you want me to make the announcement," he replied, a smirk playing on his lips. I nodded and returned to my spot, my heart pounding in my chest as I waited for the opportune moment. The club was packed and the energy was infectious. I could see my wife dancing with her friends, her hair swaying with the beat, completely unaware of the chaos that was about to unfold. Finally, Jake took the mic and the crowd quieted down. "All right, everyone, we have a special dedication tonight. This one goes out to a lovely lady who thought she could escape the heartbreak of a breakup. Here's a song for you, and it's a classic, Irreplaceable by Beyoncé." The crowd erupted in cheers, and I felt a rush of adrenaline. I watched as my wife's face shifted from joy to confusion. The realization hit her like a freight train, and I could see her scanning the room, her eyes wide as she searched for the source of the song. When she spotted me, the color drained from her face. The laughter and chatter around her faded into a dull roar as she pieced together what was happening. I felt a sense of satisfaction wash over me as I leaned back against the wall, arms crossed, taking in the moment. The song played on, the lyrics ringing out loud and clear, each line a pointed reminder of her choices. "You must not know 'bout me," Beyoncé sang, and I could see my wife's expression shift from confusion to embarrassment. Her friends glanced at her, some with pity, others with curiosity, but all were aware of the spectacle unfolding before them. As the chorus hit, I could see her fighting back tears, the reality of the situation crashing down on her. The public humiliation I had orchestrated was unfolding beautifully, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. She had made her choice, and now she was facing the consequences in front of everyone she knew. I watched her as she struggled to maintain her composure, desperately trying to smile through the embarrassment. But I could see the cracks forming, the facade she had built crumbling under the weight of her guilt. It was a bittersweet moment for me, a mix of satisfaction and sorrow. I had wanted her to feel the pain I felt, but seeing her like this stirred something deeper within me. As the song played on, I felt the thrill of revenge coursing through me, but it was accompanied by a realization that this was not just about punishing her. It was about reclaiming my own sense of self-worth, about standing up for the love I had given so freely. But as the final notes of the song faded away, I couldn't help but wonder what this would mean for us moving forward. Was this moment truly the end, or was it merely the beginning of a different kind of pain? As the final notes of Irreplaceable echoed through the club, I stood frozen, watching my wife's reaction unfold. The cheers and applause from the crowd felt distant, muffled by the rush of emotions coursing through me. I had orchestrated this moment, and now I was witnessing the fallout. Her face was a canvas of shock, embarrassment, and disbelief, an expression I would not soon forget. She turned to her friends, her eyes wide with panic, but they were just as stunned as she was. I could see the wheels turning in her mind, the realization that she had been caught in a web of her own making. I felt a twisted sense of satisfaction wash over me, but beneath that was an undercurrent of sorrow. This was not the way I had envisioned our life together ending. I had wanted her to feel pain, but I had also wanted to feel closure. As the song ended, Jake took the mic again. "Let's give it up for the ladies and gents. Remember, life is too short to hold on to what doesn't serve you." The crowd cheered, but I focused solely on my wife, who now stood frozen in place, her laughter replaced by a heavy silence. I knew that I needed to confront her, to face the woman I had once loved with all my heart. I pushed through the throngs of party-goers, my heart racing. I could see her retreating to the corner of the club, her back turned to me, as if she were trying to escape the very reality she had created. When I reached her, I could feel the tension in the air. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady but laced with the hurt I felt. She turned slowly, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I can't believe you did this," she whispered, her voice shaky. "How could you humiliate me like that?" "Humiliate you?" I shot back, my anger flaring again. "You think you get to play the victim here? You brought this on yourself. You chose to betray me, and now you want sympathy." Her expression shifted, and I could see the cracks in her facade. "I know I messed up. I'm sorry. I didn't think you would find out." "Didn't think I would find out," I interrupted, incredulous. "You think I wouldn't notice the late nights? The secret texts? You didn't think I'd ever find out about you and the DJ?" "I didn't mean for it to happen," she pleaded, her voice rising. "It was a mistake, a moment of weakness." I shook my head, feeling the weight of her words wash over me. "A mistake, a moment of weakness," I echoed, my voice rising. "You think that gives you a free pass? You think you can just brush this off?" Her eyes filled with tears, and I felt a pang of regret. I didn't want to see her cry, but I couldn't allow myself to feel sympathy. Not now, not after everything she had done. "I just wanted to feel alive again," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I thought I could escape the monotony of our life. I didn't think it would go this far." "Escape?" I asked, incredulous. "You thought cheating on me would make you feel alive. You ruined everything we had." The anger within me simmered, but beneath it was a deep sadness, a realization that our marriage had become something neither of us had intended. We had lost ourselves in the routine of life, and instead of addressing it, she had sought solace in the arms of another man. "I don't know what to do now," she said, her voice breaking as the tears spilled over. "I'm so sorry. I want to fix this." "Fix it?" I scoffed, my heart hardening. "How do you fix something that's broken beyond repair?" For a moment we stood in silence, the weight of our shattered relationship hanging heavily between us. I could see her struggling to find the right words, but I was done listening to empty promises. I had spent too long trying to make things work, and now I was faced with the reality of her betrayal. "I don't think I can trust you again," I finally said, my voice low. "Trust is the foundation of a marriage, and you've shattered that." She stepped closer, her desperation palpable. "Please, give me another chance. I'll do anything. I'll go to counseling, I'll change. Just don't give up on us." Her words hung in the air, and I felt the pull of my heart, an instinct to comfort her, to tell her that everything would be okay. But I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal that lingered like a bitter taste in my mouth. "I don't know if I can," I admitted, the truth cutting deeper than I thought possible. "You've hurt me in a way I can't just forget. I need time to think." With that, I turned away from her, needing space to breathe. I could feel her eyes on me, but I couldn't bear to look back. I needed to process what had just happened, to come to terms with the fact that our marriage was hanging by a thread. As I walked away, the music faded into the background, and I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. I had sought revenge, and now I was left with the aftermath, a broken relationship and a heart full of questions. Would we ever be able to move past this? Could we rebuild what was lost, or was this truly the end of us? In the days that followed, I found myself reflecting on everything that had transpired. I had taken a stand, proving that I wouldn't be walked all over, but at what cost? The thrill of revenge was fleeting, and now I was left with the reality of my choices. The days that followed the incident at the club were a blur of confusion and emotional turmoil. I had orchestrated a moment of public humiliation for my wife, and while it had provided a temporary thrill, it left me grappling with the fallout. I felt the weight of my actions pressing down on me, and I was haunted by the question, had I gone too far? In the aftermath of that night, our home felt like a battleground, the air thick with unspoken words and lingering resentment. My wife had tried to reach out, to apologize, to explain, but I found myself shutting her out. Each time she approached me, I felt the anger bubbling to the surface, a reminder of the betrayal that had shattered my trust. I spent my evenings alone, lost in thought, replaying the events of our marriage over and over in my mind. I remembered our wedding day, the laughter, the joy, the promises we had made to one another. How had we gone from that to this? I felt like a stranger in my own home, trapped in a nightmare of my own making. One evening, as I lay awake staring at the ceiling, I realized that my need for revenge had only deepened the chasm between us. I had wanted to assert my power, to show her that I would not be a passive victim, but in doing so, I had also revealed a side of myself that I didn't recognize. The pain of betrayal had morphed me into someone I didn't want to be, someone who sought vengeance instead of understanding. The next day, I decided to confront my feelings head-on. I called a close friend, someone who had been through his own share of relationship struggles. As we met at a local cafe, I poured out my heart, sharing the details of my wife's infidelity and the revenge I had taken. "I don't even recognize myself anymore," I admitted, running a hand through my hair in frustration. I wanted her to feel the pain I felt, but now I just feel empty. My friend listened intently, nodding as I spoke. "You need to ask yourself what you really want," he said thoughtfully. "Do you want to salvage your marriage, or do you want to move on? Revenge might feel good in the moment, but it won't heal the wounds." His words resonated with me, and I felt a flicker of clarity. I realized that I needed to make a choice, either fight for the marriage I had once cherished or accept that it was time to let go. When I returned home that evening, I found my wife sitting at the kitchen table, her eyes red from crying. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady but soft. She looked up, her expression a mix of hope and trepidation. "I know I've messed up, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes," she replied, her voice trembling. "I appreciate that, but I need to be honest with you," I began, feeling the weight of my words. "I don't know if I can forgive you right now. I'm hurt and angry, and I don't want to just sweep this under the rug." She nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I understand. I don't expect you to forgive me overnight. But I want to work on this, to fix what's broken." I paused, contemplating her words. What does that even look like? How do we move forward from here? "I think we need to talk to someone," she suggested, her voice firm. "Counseling. I want to understand why I did this and how we can rebuild our trust." The idea of counseling had crossed my mind, but I hadn't been ready to consider it. Now, hearing her suggest it, I felt a glimmer of hope. "You really want to try?" I asked, needing to gauge her sincerity. "I do," she said, her voice steady. "I love you and I don't want to lose you. I know I made a terrible mistake, but I want to fight for us." For the first time since the betrayal, I felt a flicker of something. Maybe it was hope, or maybe it was the possibility of redemption. I realized that if we were going to move forward, we needed to confront the pain together, to be vulnerable and honest about our feelings. "Okay," I said, my voice softer now. "Let's try counseling, but I need you to understand that this will take time. I can't just forget what happened. I know," she replied, her eyes filled with determination. "I'll do whatever it takes to earn back your trust." As we sat together, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. The path ahead would be difficult, but maybe there was a chance for us to rebuild what had been lost. It wouldn't be easy, and there would be moments of doubt and pain, but I was willing to try if she was. In the weeks that followed, we began attending couples counseling. Each session was a roller coaster of emotions, as we navigated through our pain, anger, and vulnerability. We learned to communicate more openly, to express our feelings without fear of judgment. It was challenging, but it felt like we were slowly starting to peel back the layers of hurt that had built up over time. I began to see my wife in a new light, not just as the woman who had betrayed me, but as a flawed human being who was capable of making mistakes. And in turn, I realized that I, too, had my own shortcomings. We had both contributed to the distance that had grown between us, and acknowledging that gave me a sense of understanding. As we continued our journey through counseling, I felt a shift within myself. The anger that had consumed me began to dissipate, replaced by a renewed sense of hope. We were learning to navigate the complexities of our relationship, and while we still had a long way to go, I could see the possibility of healing. But even as we made progress, I couldn't shake the feeling that the scars of betrayal would always remain. Trust, once broken, is not easily repaired. And while I was willing to try, I knew that the road ahead would not be without its challenges. As the weeks turned into months, the journey of rebuilding my marriage became both a challenge and a revelation. Each counseling session peeled back layers of hurt and misunderstanding, forcing us to confront not only the betrayal but the dynamics that had led us there. We learned to communicate more openly, to express our fears and desires without the fear of judgment. It was as if we were learning to walk again, one careful step at a time. There were days when the weight of the betrayal felt unbearable. I would catch myself staring at my wife, remembering that moment in the club, the look on her face as the DJ dedicated that song to her. It was a vivid reminder of the pain, and I would have to remind myself that we were both working towards something better. She was trying and I was trying, but the shadows of the past lingered like ghosts in the corners of our minds. One evening after a particularly intense session, we sat on the couch in silence, both lost in our thoughts. I glanced over at her and for a moment I felt the familiar pang of love mixed with lingering hurt. "Do you think we can really get past this?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She turned to me, her eyes filled with sincerity. "I believe we can. It's going to take time, but I'm committed to doing the work. I want to be the partner you deserve." Her words struck a chord within me. I wanted to believe in the possibility of healing, but there was still a wall between us, built from the bricks of betrayal and insecurity. "I want to believe that too," I replied, feeling a mix of hope and fear. "But I need to know that I can trust you again." "I'm here every step of the way," she said, her voice steady. "I'll prove it to you. I know I've made mistakes, but I want to make things right." As we continued our sessions, it became clear that the work we were doing was not just about overcoming the betrayal. It was about understanding ourselves and each other on a deeper level. We began to explore our individual needs and desires, the things we had neglected in our relationship. It was uncomfortable, but it was necessary. One day, as we were driving home from a session, I glanced over at her. "I think I'm starting to forgive you," I said, the words feeling foreign yet liberating. "It's a small step, but it's a step." Her eyes lit up and she reached for my hand. "That means the world to me. I know it's not easy, but I'll keep fighting for us." As spring blossomed into summer, we found ourselves in a better place. We had established open lines of communication, and while the shadows of betrayal still lurked, they no longer controlled our lives. We began to rediscover the joy we once shared, slowly but surely. We went on dates, laughed at old inside jokes, and found new ways to connect. But there were still moments of doubt. I would occasionally catch her looking at her phone with a hint of anxiety, and I would feel that familiar knot of insecurity tighten in my stomach. It was a reminder that trust is not something that can be rebuilt overnight. It takes time, patience, and consistent effort. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, I turned to her. "I know we've come a long way, but I still have moments of insecurity. I need you to understand that it's not just about forgiving, it's about rebuilding trust." "I get that," she replied, her voice calm. "And I'm here to reassure you. I'll always be honest with you no matter what. I want to earn your trust back, and I'll do whatever it takes." Her sincerity resonated with me, and I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe we could emerge from this stronger than before. I had once thought that betrayal would be the end of us, but now I was beginning to see it as a catalyst for growth. As summer faded into fall, we continued our journey, learning to navigate our relationship with new eyes. There were still challenges to face, but we were facing them together. I realized that healing from betrayal is not linear. It's a winding road with ups and downs, but each step forward was a testament to our commitment to one another. One evening, as we sat together reflecting on how far we had come, I took her hand and said, "I'm proud of us. We've faced a lot, and yet here we are, still fighting for each other." "I'm proud of us too," she replied, her eyes shining. "I know we'll have our struggles, but I believe we can overcome anything together." In that moment, I felt a renewed sense of connection, a bond that had been forged through pain but tempered with understanding and love. We were not the same people we had been before the betrayal, but perhaps that was a good thing. We were learning to love more deeply, to communicate more openly, and to cherish the moments we had together. As I looked into her eyes, I realized that while the scars of betrayal would always remain, they no longer defined us. We were writing a new chapter in our story, one that was filled with resilience, hope, and the promise of a brighter future together. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like we were truly on the path to healing, a path that was ours to walk, hand in hand. The road ahead would still hold challenges, but I was ready to face them together. This was not just the end of a painful chapter, it was the beginning of something new.